Good morning. We don't have a very big turnout, but hopefully some more people will show up. And we have a special speaker from PorchLight, and this is Brad Chambers, and he is on the staff for the rotating shelter, so he can tell us about his experiences with that and update us on what's going on at PorchLight. And I'll repeat this announcement later, but since we used to host PorchLight in June, and now First Congregational Church is taking it to host for a second month, so they host in November and June, and we are going to do as much as we can to help them with the meals for June. So you will be hearing from Nancy Davis and me, and we're going to get some meals put together to take over to First Congregational Church, which is pretty convenient for me anyway. It's downtown Bellevue. So I'd like to give you Brad Chambers and thank him for coming this morning after he did an all-night shift at the shelter last night.
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Beautiful spring morning we have this morning. It's a pretty time of year, isn't it? Yes. Well, I'll start out by introducing myself. Again, I'm Brad Chambers, and PorchLight's motto is Journey from the Outside In, and I'm a site manager at the rotating shelter, which I know you guys used to host for many years, and now it's, I think, 10 different churches that participate. We have 2 slots open for the year's rotation. But to start out, just to share a little bit about myself, I grew up in Spokane, beautiful Spokane, Washington. So I'm a fellow Washingtonian, or official Washingtonian, I guess. And had great parents who really loved me and tried to guide me in the right direction. I was not necessarily raised in church. That wasn't necessarily a part of our upbringing. I have one older sister, and we did a lot of snow skiing and lakes in the summertime, and just outdoor recreation. And education was important in our family. Good finances and everything was going well. And then I kind of started going sideways and started kind of hanging out with the wrong crowd and partying at a very young age, and it eventually kind of spun out of control to where I was pretty much a full-blown addict. I, by the grace of God, made it through high school and college. Went to college in Denver, Colorado, and came back with an international business degree, which was amazing considering how much I was partaking in extracurricular activities in college. But my life started to spin out of control due to substance abuse disorder and ambition gone awry. And so I eventually found myself on the streets of Seattle, and came to a place in my life where I needed PorchLight myself. And this was back before they built the new shelter down the hill here. It was, of course, if you remember, if you know, it was over on 116th there for many years before they built the new building. And I started out there, and then found out about the rotating shelter, which I became a beneficiary of the services of PorchLight's rotating shelter. So if you don't know, it basically is a program where each church of, right now it's 10 churches, but it could be up to 12 churches a year, host a month at a time. And it gives a place to have a safe place to stay and housing, good meal, hygiene items are met. And sometimes you don't think about that, but there's a lot to that, whether it be doing laundry or having your bedding and your items stored safely during the day. when you're out working or looking for work or looking for resources that you may need. And so PorchLight was a very significant place for me to get my head straight. I at that point in time chose that I wanted to live a sober life. I wasn't forced to. It was something that was very much between my relationship with God and my desire to have that relationship without being foggy to that. And so I did choose in this program to start living sober and to start moving forward on the basics, which is getting a job, getting a place to live, and most importantly, having a community of people around me that cared about me. And it was at the rotating shelter that I met some of those people. I know you guys know Joe here. Joe and I have become really good friends, and I know that, as you probably know, there's not a lot of really good friends. There's just a handful through life as we go along that are really, really special people to us. And Joe kind of knows my story, and I know his story in very intimate ways, and now we're both employees at the rotating shelter. We both came through that program and are now employees, and we work together to help the gentlemen that are coming through. Right now we have about 20 guys there, give or take 15 to 25 guys on average. And we know both the challenges of where they are, as also the opportunity that they have to what's really neat to me is to go anywhere that the Lord sends you. Because from the place of the rotating shelter, you have the liberty of not having a landlord, you have the liberty of not having an employee if you don't, and being able to really decide what direction you want to go. What's the next best direction for you? And it's very rare that you have that liberty and freedom to not worry about bills or not worry about anything but taking care of yourself and resting and healing and dreaming about the next step for your life. So I just wanted to emphasize that the PorchLight program really is a special program that I believe is special because it was founded by you guys, so to speak. It was founded by the churches in the East Side community. People 30 years ago plus decided, hey, let's get together and pray, and let's be available to reach out to homeless people in the streets on the east side of the water here. And I am a very, very grateful beneficiary of PorchLight services. Let's see. A little bit more about the PorchLight at large. There's a brand new, less than 2-year-old emergency main shelter right up here right kind of down here on East Gate that came from the rotating program. It started off with the rotating shelter program, and then they eventually established their nonprofit status and built a new building, and now they house the management down there as well as behavioral health services, addiction recovery services, any related services that a homeless person might need, they have right on site now. And so it's a pretty amazing opportunity for people to get the help they need. This last year I looked on the website last night and just got the most current information I could, and We served 36,000 men this last year as far as beds kept. 65,000 meals this year. Case management and referral services that we that are behind the scenes that we don't even know about, but they include things like housing navigation and possibly help with legal issues is something that we're looking to develop. People that have legal issues or evictions or credit issues, that we're really looking to help people through those barriers. Many of the people that come in are knocked down pretty hard, whether because of poor choices or addictions or different reasons, or some of them just came up on hard times. I mean, we all know that there are many people out there that are a paycheck away from losing their homes and stuff like that. And there are quite a few people that come through that we find, Joe and I know find, that are pretty special people that come in there. And sometimes we get hardened by the media of just homeless, drag out people. But there's some really special people that come in the doors and need help. And it's such an opportunity to be able to reach out to them and you know, give them a hot meal and a place to rest and a place that's safe from thieves and violent people and things like that we can offer with confidence that, hey, I know this place is good and I know this place is going to be good for you because I've been through it and I can testify to it. One thing I wanted to mention also in kind of closing, I hope I took the right amount of time here, but one of the neatest things, not only is the men we serve that we get to see, Joe and I and the staff, is we get to see generosity of the community that is astounding. It's really a miracle to be able to be in our position and to see people, whether it's making cookies behind the scenes, bringing meals, knitting quilts, taking the time to sit down and have dinner with us. It's huge. Getting to know us as people, making us feel valued, or them feel valued. Amazing generosity that the Bellevue and Kirkland, Redmond, and the East Side community has here. I've just seen it firsthand, and it's a real privilege and honor when I was asked to come speak. I'm not a big public speaker, but I believe in what PorchLight does and what God does, even above PorchLight, in a life that is willing to change and to grow and to move forward. So again, thank you so much for any of your service that you've given over time. And I know since 1993, PorchLight has been the PorchLight of this side of the water for men that have been in need, and so we thank you so much for that. I know that Cheryl maybe wanted to, that's another friend that I've gotten along the way, is to meet Cheryl and to see her generosity behind the scenes with people. It's just been amazing. It's so cool because we get to see the behind the scenes a little bit, and it's like, you know, the Lord says, what you do in secret, you know, and we get to see some of the Lord's little secret helpers, and it's awesome. It's awesome. I think she wanted to mention a little announcement about meals for an opportunity to serve for the rotating shelter. Would you like to share that now?
Yeah, I'll do that again at the end.
Okay.
But I had a question.
Okay.
Can you explain how it works? Sorry, with the case managers for the men that are at the rotating shelter? Are they connected with a case manager from
Yes.
PorchLight?
Yes, and we just had a replacement of a case manager for the rotating shelter. There's several case managers that stay on site, and there's a 100-man facility down here on Eastgate. And so there's there's case managers that stay on site there. And then we just got a new case manager assigned to us for the rotating 20 men that we have as well. I think there's 100 men plus some overflow in the winter here, and then we serve about 20 to 25. So we're serving 125 men on any given night, and we have, I think, 3 case managers to handle that load.
So the case managers come to the shelter
Yes.
and meet with the men.
Right, and they help with housing navigation, any barriers to their getting into housing, whether it be old evictions or credit report or down payments or all those items that you need to get into a decent apartment. They help with that sort of thing. Yeah. They also help some with employment. They have some employment assistant, and they post up jobs down there, and by word of mouth refer any hot job opportunities that are going on around the area as well. Yeah.
Yes, thanks for coming in and
Yeah.
talking to us.
Sure.
Joe's been a great addition to our congregation over the last few years. So he both is active and energetic and engaging with us. So that's been a wonderful addition here.
Right.
But you just started to touch on it, and I thought you could speak about your success in getting the men from the rotating shelter into permanent housing. And then even the next step after that, once they kind of get some stability in their life, and how do you help them, or do they need help getting kind of engaged in whether it's job or the community or involvement, so that they can feel that there's a purpose to what they're doing,
Boy,
rather than just treading water.
that is an excellent acknowledgement of a great need, I would say. I think we have, as a network of resources, of which PorchLight is one of, we have improvement to make. Because I believe that, there's that housing first model. Well, if you get them housed first, that we'll deal with all the other stuff later. Well, sometimes that seems to fall through the cracks a little bit. And so I totally agree with what I think you're saying, is that the value of community interaction and resource networking and these sorts of things is very important to the sustainability of someone's life in housing and in just upward living, good living experience. I don't know if I can fully answer it other than to say it's a work in progress, because sometimes I've seen guys where they've put them in a house and they didn't, in an apartment, you get them in an apartment and it wasn't good for them. It was like all of a sudden they're alone with themselves in their own head, and they're in this box, and they don't have any social skills yet or community. And so I've seen that happen where, okay, they're housed and they're up and out of the shelter, but now they're by themselves. And so I think that part of the solution is what we do here with the churches. I really believe that you guys, the 12 churches that are part of our program, are a key component to people having a prosperous life after shelter experience. I know Joe meeting Cheryl was huge. That has opened the door to him being a part of this congregation. It's opened the door to solid friends she has, that Joe's got to be involved with, and same with me. I'm getting involved with Westminster Chapel church now, because of some of the programs that I think I can participate in and be a benefit to them as well. And so I'm kind of still learning this process as someone that came through that, to find things that I'm interested in, that I can serve in, and stay active in the community in a positive way is really vital to the success of people that have been homeless. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Great question, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm able to help because once a month we have a meeting with the manager of the rotating shelter. His name is Jose, and he always reports to us, and it's usually 3 or 4 men every month go into housing. And they get, 3 or 4 new men coming into the rotating shelter. So some of them end up, going back east and, getting a new relationship with their families or whatever. But there's usually 3 or 4, and I probably should start putting that in the trendings, the statistics each month, because he does report on it. And how many of the men have jobs? What would you say? Sometimes it's about
I'd say
half.
7. Yeah, maybe a little less than half.
Yeah.
But yeah, 7 or 8 probably of the 20. About 7 or 8 of the guys have cars.
Yeah, I think we collectively, and not all the burden on St. Cheryl over there, can do work, to really let people know the success of PorchLight.
Yeah.
That's really great. I mean, and that's why I wanted to do this
Yeah.
morning and some other times, because I really have seen the success both in my life as well as the lives that I serve, the guys. I can honestly say that before you today that there is progress and there is fruit from sometimes the very basic levels. And it kind of does start with getting them off the street and settled, and then we can go from there. I know Joe and I talk about it quite a bit, is how can we develop community and how can we develop camaraderie so that as people go on to get housing, that they don't isolate.
Right.
It goes from a community of 20, and you've got 20 brothers that are in the same boat. And something really cool that happens there, it's kind of a supernatural phenomenon actually. And that is that nobody has anything on anybody there. It's like this supernatural equalizer. It's like what you drive doesn't matter, what titles behind your name doesn't matter, where you came from, it's all somewhere. You're from somewhere. And it's just as equal and valuable as anybody else. And that's where I think Joe and I can
It is extremely priceless to see how overwhelming it is for men who can't even look in here. They're so downtrodden people, and just, it's painstaking. And for the Father to allow us the privilege to remind them this doesn't define who they are, and encourage them, and to see them move on, get housing, get work, get a car. Things that Brad and I have experienced, again, it's priceless. And it's so moving. I would encourage everyone to partake simply because it's not only beneficial for themselves, but for everybody. And regardless if we're healthy enough to realize it, we're responsible for one another. And that to me is the beauty of the community. And I'm privileged and proud to be a part of it. Thank all of you for being here.
Yeah, well said. I mean, I go there sometimes dragging my feet just like anybody else goes to work. Sometimes you're dragging your feet a little bit to go to work. And then the Lord will surprise me with something from some guy I did not expect. He'll give me a little nugget of wisdom through some guy that, you know, might not look sharp, but that's just the way it is. And I'm just blown away by the wisdom and the life experience that some of these men have. And I get as much out of it, I think, is what Joe's saying too, is that we get as much, and maybe more, as the men we serve sometimes. It's
I
pretty awesome.
asked the Lord for wisdom. He gives me homeless men. I think it's beautiful. It is so beautiful.
He's got a good sense of humor, doesn't he? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I was going to say that I worked for the Department of Corrections for 31 years.
Wow.
And my first job was a probation parole officer in downtown Seattle.
Wow.
And a high percentage of the people that were coming out of prison or out of jail were all drug and alcohol addicts.
Mm-hmm.
Psychedelics were huge in that time
Mm-hmm.
period. But what we experienced on a regular basis was that those who were living in shelters, halfway houses, things like that, when the weather started to get nice in the spring, they'd check themselves out and they'd just go live on the streets and use alcohol and drugs all summer long. And then when the winter started to come, they'd check themselves back in. And they'd stay clean and sober all winter and then back out on the street. It was just a continuing cycle, and I was just wondering if you still see that today.
We do. Keeping it real.
Need to send them to Alaska when they can just stay out here.
Yeah, and I know for Joe and myself, we really, at the end of the day, it's really a relationship with God that makes the difference. I mean, whether I'm having a good day or a bad day is kind of here nor there compared to, you know, I'm paying attention to you, Lord, because what you've done for me, you know. And so for myself, I can just speak to that I went through that cycle for a lot of years. Get clean, 55 days here, and then fall off the wagon, you know, there. Quite a few times, probably in the dozens, maybe more, that I did that cycle. And one day, maybe it was not one day, maybe it was over a series of time, a little series of time, I decided that I was ready to change and to do it the Lord's way and to get help from some people. So, all that to say, I don't know that pattern will ever be fully ended, but I was reminded by my friend Joe the other day of the scripture where I think it was Abraham and Lot's son was in Sodom and Gomorrah, and Abraham pleaded with God, if you give me just 50, will you save the city? And then it got down to a low number, and it saved his family. So if we could save one guy, you know, and not we save him, but if we could serve a guy that says, hey, I'm going to make a change and maybe go give back to the community that I served, then we do our job. You know, we can't always control the results, but we can do our part to help with the process.
Never get weary of fighting a good fight.
Yeah, keep fighting.
That's
the good
what
fight.
this is.
That's right.
Because, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Joe.
No, because it's just, in the long run, our privilege, and I can speak on that because I've become the beneficiary of that reality of not quitting. And it just carries me that much further because I realize it's not my strength when we're doing our Father's bidding, and He'll see us through it, all of it. What works for one person may not work for the other. So we're all inclusive in that, being part of that solution. So I'm grateful to be able to say what the Father would say to me, don't get worried of fighting a good fight.
Yeah, that's right. And with that, it is at times difficult to not kind of be challenged by the lack of progress sometimes you see. I mean, I'm sure you dealt with that in corrections where it was kind of like, man, you know, this is a rabbit wheel, what are you doing? You should know better type of thing. And it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy because like when I start to think that way about somebody, I'm reminded of my frailty and where I came from and my need for character and dignity in these positions. And so therefore I got to offer it. I got to be there to be that guy for them so that maybe they'll see, hey, you know, it can be done and I want to make a change. So making it possible and making it attractive to them that, hey, you can come out of this. You can come out of this. Be humble, work hard, be honest, and move forward, and you can have a good life. Yeah.
I have two questions.
Okay.
Kind of on the opposite end of what we've been talking about. When someone comes to the shelter and needs help, how does he get in? In other words, do you have criteria, or how does he get in? And you have about 100, 125 possible.
Mhm.
Then what do you do if you're full and can't accept that person? Are there other places on the east side that you prefer? And the second part of my question is, how long can a man stay in this program? Is there a time limit, or is it just until he's ready
Yeah.
to move on?
Both really good questions. And I don't know that I'm the best qualified to answer the first question because I don't work at the main shelter, which is the first place they go. They have to go through the emergency men's shelter on East Lake before they can do anything. They have to go through their registration. And it is a process where they have to wait for a bed until it opens up, and then they have to continually stay there to keep their bed. So it's a process, and they do, I know in wintertime and in any kind of emergency weather conditions, they have special allocations where they can open it up a little bit more to accommodate more. I know they have an outreach specialist that has referrals to other agencies that help as well. I imagine there are times where they are full and have to say we don't have any more room.
Yeah,
There are
So,
times.
yeah, I've been looking at that, and so they have 100 beds on the 3rd floor, and then if the temperature drops below 38 or some temperature, then they can put mats on the floor on the 2nd floor. So they have like 25 men they can put there. And the men have to check in by 9 o'clock at night and sign in, or their bed will be given to somebody else because there's a wait list. And then if they have men, if all the beds are filled and the temperature hasn't dropped, they will take them in a van to Seattle to Salvation Army or one of the shelters there, because I know the guy that drives them over there. And so they, you know, do the best they can to get them housed. For the
Yeah,
night.
and the other thing
You don't
is-
want them outside in Bellevue, you don't want them hanging around, yeah.
Yeah, and they do have a pretty extensive day room that has showers and laundry and meals are all day long, and it's open to anyone. So even if they couldn't sleep there are some services during the day that they can come back and utilize.
And the emergency shelters come as you are.
It is, it's low barrier, it's,
And the rotating shelter is more structured to where you gotta be clean, sober, you gotta be looking for work. You try to get your life back in order versus the emergencies. You know, you're really dealing with downtrodden, can't look in the eye type individuals.
Do they have to do chores and follow rules when they're at the rotating shelter?
at the rotating shelter, yes, everybody needs to be able to do a chore. Now, we do have some gentlemen that are may have some kind of ability limitation, and we accommodate that. We're not trying to create an environment where you're working. We're trying to create an environment where you're participating in the well-being of the program. So if a guy can't walk very well, we're gonna maybe have him dry dishes.
We're gonna help you succeed.
Yeah, we're gonna help you succeed. We're not about trying to grind out work out of these guys. It's more of like, hey, let's find stuff so everybody can participate and make it a better part of the program. To answer your question about the timeline, we discussed that quite a bit too. It is very much a case-by-case situation. The needs are different. Some guys are working and have a car and just need a few weeks. And that's great. We can be that spot for that few weeks until they find housing. Some guys have some barriers, and so it may take 6 months to get through their barriers to be able to find housing and be able to move on. And then there are a few guys that are there for longer term. And we hope to be there to help them until they can get some kind of assistance and get their own housing. So very much case by case. If we see effort on their part to be successful in whatever that looks like to them, then we're gonna support that. You know, we try not to define what success is for them, because success sometimes is making it through the day without a joint or something. You know, it could be that as little as that. Could be a big thing for a guy, and to have this community environment for them is pretty amazing. Anybody else? Yeah.
How do people transition from the shelter to the rotating shelter?
That's a great question, and we have the case managers that basically do a background check. They do a full background check because we are residing at different church communities. The one we have now, where we are now, is Cross of Christ, and they have a daycare facility attached to their building. And so it's very important that we do background checks to make sure that there's no major offenses that would prohibit them being there. The case managers, as Joe mentioned, they have to be willing to be clean and sober. We do, we do monitor that for the safety of the whole program, that we can't have people coming in intoxicated. And so if that happens, which it does happen, we refer them to our substance abuse disorder counselor, who's on staff at the main shelter, and also the behavioral health team, and get them the help they need. So we're not trying to kick people out, we're trying to help people. And so in that process, if they decide that they want to get help, then they can come back through the program and try it again. So yeah, sometimes it's a routine, but we do want them to, we do need to know they're going to get along with people, because there are 20 guys in a room and there's only one of us monitoring it. So we are pretty vetted that they're going to be able to get along with people okay. They usually have an eye on them at the main shelter for a while before they send them over to us. Do a chore, be willing to be sober, hygiene. We got to make sure that they can keep themselves clean. That's something that's important. And we do provide deodorant and toothbrush, toothpaste, laundries, detergent, clean towels for showers. So that's we've got everything we need to make sure they're clean, and they need to be clean. So that's something.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, anyone else?
One more announcement
Okay.
is we have the opportunity to help feed the men in June at First Congregational Church. So we'll be having an article in the newsletter next week, and we'll be reaching out to you to help with the meals. We're going to try to put together the meals instead of just one person having to do the whole meal. So.
Yeah, and keep in mind, it's a great time to get to know some of these guys. There's some really, really awesome people. If you can, and you can come in with the meal prep team and have dinner with us, we'd sure love to have you. And men are very responsive to the kindness that's shown to them. So.
And you can say hello to Brad and Joe.
Yeah.
They're 6, 9, 3, and 3. So Brad
Sunday,
has 3
Monday,
nights, Joe
Tuesday.
has 3, and then somebody else has Wednesday night.
Yeah. So.
Sam. Yeah.
Yep,
Thank
yep.
you very much.
All right. Thank you guys.